Hello, it's Denise, and I just wanted to do a little video today about my depth year for 2019. I know that is something a lot of people are doing, and I'm really excited about it. I actually had been kind of moving in that direction towards, I think, starting in October of 2018. I had been feeling very overwhelmed with the amount of decks that I had and things that I had that I wanted to use and I didn't have time for. And I read a book about overwhelm, and I was kind of starting to move in the direction of limiting my new purchases so that I could have time to work with what I had. And that's when I found out about the idea of a depth year. I was watching, I think, a video of Jennifer Ball's Spiritual Garage, I think, on her channel. Um, I saw her talk about a depth year, and then from there, I've seen so many more people. I think Jessica Starr, the Story Witch, her channel, she has like a Facebook group, and she has a really good video about it and more information. And I just kind of went from there, and I watched a lot of videos and got a lot of ideas about different people's depth years and like what they thought about for a depth year and like what they're planning on doing. And I kind of I got my bullet journal out and wrote down like my own personal guidelines, because the reason that people do a depth year, it's going to be different from person to person. I know there's some people that are not doing one because they have any issues with purchasing, and I know that is a big issue for other people, including myself. I have had a big issue with purchasing too many things over 2018, and so that's hoping something I'm hoping to correct in 2019. So for me, it just one of the reasons that this has been on my mind lately is I have been spending a lot of time shopping, and it was something that I did as stress relief, and I am stressed a lot. I have like anxiety, like kind of a general anxiety, and that's been something that I've always had a little bit, I think, of that, and then it's just been more amplified since I've had kids, and then we just moved this in 2018. We just moved to a new state and a new city, and it's just like there just seems to be more and more things to do, and it's just been and there's been this feeling of like anxiety and the feeling that I could relieve some of that anxiety if I had something, or just to take my mind off of something else, I'm going to go look on Amazon for a while and read reviews about, something I'm interested in purchasing, or watch reviews about something I'm interested in purchasing. And even though I don't think that buying things is bad in general, I think that I just taken it to a personal level that is uncomfortable for me and not good for me and my budget. So that's something I'm hoping to correct in this year. The other issue that I had, and I talked about this in my video on overwhelm, was that I was getting new decks, and I felt like I would get a new deck and then I would have to, I just wouldn't have time to use the decks that I already had, and I'd end up pushing those aside so I could look at this new deck. And before I could really even get into the new deck, like another one would come. And I just felt like it was just this. I loved buying new decks, and I loved the thrill of opening them and seeing them and having that artwork there, and I just loved it. But honestly, like, I don't have the time to work with a lot of different decks, and I like having decks that I have a connection to, just for me personally. And I love reading, but I don't read all the books that I buy. I buy so many, there's no way I could possibly read them. I could stop buying books today. I could completely stop, and I could have enough material that I could read my books for at least a year, if not more. That's how many books I have that I have not read yet. And I even have some books that I want to read again. So, so yeah, it just got to a point where I felt overwhelmed and like crushed by like stuff that I just couldn't use, and it just was an uncomfortable feeling. And then when I found out about depth theory of going, deep into certain studies, but not going, wide, like not getting, not just, it's more than just not accumulating more, but it's more about taking the stuff that I have and just actually studying it and getting really well acquainted with the topic instead of just, going over a little bit about a whole lot of different topics. Because even if I just read the books that I have books on so many subjects that it could be, I read one of this and then, a book on runes and a book on tarot and a book on, feminism and a book on, like animals, spirits, and that kind of thing. And it would just be like a little bit of a bunch of things. And I think that's good to have years where you get acquainted with a bunch of new subjects in case, you have a passion for something that you haven't found yet. But for me, I need a depth year. And so I'm so glad that this is like a phenomenon because this is what I needed to find out about. And so my depth year is going to focus on having books that I kind of have several that I have in a month, and then I only read those books so that I can finish them and trying to finish the books. And then I have limits on my new purchases. I'm not going to stop buying books and I'm not going to stop buying decks completely, but I am limiting my purchases. And the thing that's most important for me is I am planning all my purchases in advance. So I already know, and I have already purchased. there is there are decks that are coming out in the beginning of this year, and a couple books that I want to read, and I know that, and I have already pre-ordered them on Amazon, and then that's it. And so, because one of my things is impulse buying. Like I'm on Amazon to buy my copy and I see this book that looks really good and oh, I really want to know about that. And it's true that I want to know about that, but if I buy that book, that doesn't buy me the time to read that book. I do not have that time. So for me, planning my purchases in advance is one big step. And then the next half of that equation is then I will not be on Amazon. I have one day, so I have, in my bullet journal, I have like one day in my calendar, and that is my shopping day for Amazon. And then I can get online and I can look to see is there something new coming out, or I have my list. And because here's the thing, I'll have something that I need to buy. So then I get on Amazon and then I see something else that I want to buy, but that I don't need. And I end up buying both of those things because I just happen to get on Amazon. And that, I mean, is good for Amazon and it's good for people selling things, but it is not good for me. So, I need to take care of myself at this point. So I'm not going to stop buying decks and I'm not going to stop supporting my local businesses and bookstores. So I'm not going like no purchase completely, but I have my guidelines. And so by purchasing, if I'm going to purchase something online, I'm purchasing it in advance. So no impulse buying. And I am only going to look one day a month. And I will have my shopping list written down for things that I need. And then I can just do it all at one time. And I am not even going to get on Etsy or Amazon in between those days. That is going to be my day. And then I will do my shopping that day because not only will that save me money, but that is going to save me so much time. It is amazing the amount of time that I spend just shopping online. It's something I enjoy doing a lot. And it's going to be hard to quit because it's something I am good at shopping. I like finding deals. I can find good deals. I can find fun stuff that I appreciate and enjoy and I like having around, but I am not using it. And for me, when I was a younger person, was learning about the laws of the universe, and one thing that was taught to me was the law of use. I believe that's also Florence Scovel book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, which is the law of use, which is if you have like 100 necklaces, let's say, and you use them, like you rotate them, you wear them, you appreciate them, they get love and attention, then having 100 necklaces is a-okay, fine for you. But if you have 100 necklaces and you wrap them up in paper and you put them away and they never see the light of day and you never use them, then that violates the law of use. Like they're not getting use. And so maybe you don't need to keep buying necklaces. So that's something that I'm trying to keep in mind in my depth year. So I'm just going over my guidelines, but I have, so for my stones too, I'm only buying my stones from local sources. I have a lot of stones. I love working with crystals. I work with them every day, but I don't need any more because I have so many that they don't all get rotated in. I mean, I just have a large collection from when I was doing crystal healing and crystal, layouts for people. And so I don't always use them all, although I love them and I tend to collect them. And I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to stop, because I might want a certain stone here or there. But for the next, I'm going to check in with myself every 3 months. So for at least the next 3 months, if I need a stone, I'm only going to buy it from like a local shop or, a trade. Sometimes people locally will sell, some of their collection in order to make room for new. So that would be also local. I'm limiting my Amazon and Etsy shopping to once a month. Not just not buying it, but I will not get on those websites except for one day a month for at least the next 3 months and see how that goes. And even in that case, I'm going to have a budget that I am going to stick to. I am going to have a limit. I'm not going to say I'm not going to spend any money because that's not realistic, and I would not stick to that budget. I am going to budget a reasonable amount, and then I'm going to stick to that. So it's going to limiting my impulse buys is going to be a big one. For certain things that I have, I'm only buying replacements like art supplies and stuff like that, because even though I love like watercolor, for example, I don't have a lot of time to watercolor, so I don't need to buy a lot of that. And using it just every so often, I don't think justifies the need of getting a lot more art supplies. I am not going to buy any more jewelry until I either I have 2 favorite stores for purchasing jewelry, and neither one of them is in town. Although there's some lovely places to purchase jewelry in town here, but my 2 all-time favorites are either in my hometown or there's one a place where I used to go in Florida. So if I go and visit either one of those places, then I will purchase my jewelry there. But I will not purchase any jewelry in the meantime because I don't really need any. Now that doesn't apply for like if I break all of my chains and I can't wear my pendants because I have no chain, that would be a replacement, but no new jewelry. And so I'm going to focus on reading and getting through the books that I already own is a big one for me. I have a lot of books. I love books. And I own a lot. And I don't like, I'll get it and I'll start a book. I start books all the time. And then it's like becomes kind of like a slog. It's like, oh, this is interesting, but it's not holding my attention exactly. And instead of like buckling down and just reading it, I like start another book. So I have done some things like I have taken Facebook off of my phone. I'm still on Facebook. I still check it on my computer, but I don't check it all the time on my phone. And that freed up a little bit of time for me to read more books. And I think it's also going to help my attention span. And I'm not even kidding. Like, I feel like just the whole scrolling and clicking on something and clicking on that, like I feel like my attention span when I was younger was better than it is today. and that is sad. And I want to set a good example for my kids. So if they're going to see me and I need to check out and do something, I'd rather have them see me read a book than be scrolling on my phone constantly, like looking on Amazon or looking on Etsy or looking, like on Facebook or, those kind of things, or reading the news. Like, not that those are bad things in and of themselves, but I know that when I see people surrounded by other people and they are on a screen, I feel like it's okay. So when you're watching a screen, even if you're reading something, and I know like a lot of people read like news and stuff, and so that might be different, but like if you're just watching something, or just, it's kind of like a passive entertainment kind of a thing where you're like, entertain me. And I love that, because I have shows that I watch on Netflix, and so I'm definitely still doing that. But I feel like I need to be a little more active. I feel like I've been very passive as far as, just having the screen, whether it is on my phone or computer or whatever, entertain me, and I am trying to be more active. And I guess that's a little off the subject of my depth here, but this is like, it's going to, getting rid of some of my screen time is a big one, because that's going to allow me to get through the books that I have, which is a big part of my depth year. And there's several subjects that I really want to delve into more. And then, I think I'll have more time for that. And so one of the last things is, as far as I've spoken before about, I signed up for a lot of online courses in last year. And so one of my big goals for my depth year is I am allowing myself to sign up for one new course, and that is all, for the whole year, unless I have completed all of the ones that I previously signed up for. I'm just going to, and because a lot of them, you have unlimited access, and I've started and gone through a lot, and I've learned a lot of fun things, but for 2019, I am going to finish the courses I started. And I mean, some I have like one thing left to do and then I'd be finished, and it's like I get that close to the end and then I just check out and I'm like on to the next new thing. So I'm going to finish all the courses I started, and I've allowed myself to sign up for one new course over the year, unless I complete all of the old ones. And it's not like it's a long list, but there's at least 4 that I can think of that I need to go back and complete. So that is definitely was a big issue for me. I feel like I haven't had that itch to like sign up and do something like that for a while. So I feel pretty confident on that one. But things can change, but I feel pretty confident on that. And so that's basically what I have set up for myself for my depth year. It's focused a lot on going deeper with my studies, getting rid of distractions so that I can find that time in my life. A lot of people have busy lives, and so cutting out the distractions, unnecessary distractions, so that I have more time for my studies and going deep with my studies. I'm focusing on one tarot deck a month. And I'm going to be doing only daily draws with that deck. Not that I can't use other decks that month for if I need a certain deck for a type of reading, or I really want to use, this other deck, or, look through a deck or whatever. But for my daily draws and for the studies that I'm doing, then I'm going to be just using the one deck. For example, in January, my deck of the month is the Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea, and I am working through, let me grab this. I am working through this book, which is a book that I've had for a long time, and I really love it, but I haven't ever worked through the entire thing with like one deck and just really gotten to know that deck. So this is my book that I'm studying for the month of January. It's deceptively small, but it has a lot of exercises and things in here to do. So I'm trying to be realistic and this is my tarot studies book that I'm starting it in January, and we'll just, you know, see how that goes. But that's what I'm doing. I'm also using the tarot playbook exercises to connect with the Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea, which I am loving and I'm super excited about. So I'm trying to be realistic. I'm going to adjust my goals as I go along. I'm going to do a check-in every 3 months, kind of see where things are standing, see how I'm doing with the goals that I've set for myself. I've done like cute little for me, they're cute. I mean, not super artistic, but little like checklist things for studies, because I love checking things off. So that's kind of like a, I don't know, the checking, it just gives me kind of like a little like sense of satisfaction, you know? So I love doing checklists for things that I want to get done, because it helps me go through. And I've already listed out my books that I'm allowing myself to read this month, and I will not look at any other books until I finish these books, which has got me reading a couple other books like crazy, trying to finish them before January, because I only have a few days left. Oh, and I did want to just mention, so I have had this book for a little while and I haven't read it. Surprise, surprise. And it's Consumed by Benjamin R. Barber. And it's subtitled How Markets Corrupt Children Infantilize adults and swallow citizens whole. And that might seem a little bit extreme, and I'm not like anti-buying things at all. You'll still see me doing unboxing videos on this channel. It'll just be decks that I have pre-ordered and or scheduled to purchase. Like if it's a deck that's been out for a while and I want to purchase it, I'm going to, you know, have to wait and schedule it on my 1 day a month. And that way I can make better purchasing decisions. So I'm not stopping buying things, but I thought a lot of times when I'm getting into a new idea or a new thing, like a new way of eating or a new way of looking at something, like it really helps for me to have a book. Like when I was working on my overwhelm and my sense of anxiety about that, like I read the book Overwhelmed, and it really helped. It gave me lots of new things to think about, lots of new ideas. And so I'm hoping that this, what I'm hoping for by reading this book is it encourages me to stop purchasing, because that's such a big part of my depth here, is to not purchase so many things. So I'm hoping that this encourages me to look at my consumption in another way. It's like, this is getting long, so just one last thing is I just wanted to say is, I don't know if I've had this experience, I don't know if anyone else has had it, but like lately, so when I walk into, let's say Target, because we have a Target kind of close by, and well, we have a Walmart like right across the street, but I don't like to shop there. And so I'll go to Target and I will, I'll walk in, you know, and nobody says anything to you. It's this huge store. You just walk around like the aisles, and I mean every once in a while, like if someone's working there, they might say hi, how are you, or can I help you with something, but for the most part I walk around there. I find what I need, I go to the checkout, or even sometimes if it's a couple things, the self-checkout, and I check myself out. And sometimes there's someone standing there at the self-checkout and I say hi to them, and sometimes that is the only human contact that I have of that whole shopping experience. And then I walk out of the door and I just feel like it just hits me, you know, like how consumer driven, you know, the society is, where you can just walk into a store and buy something and just walk out without really having any human contact. And it just feels very cold, you know, and it just, so to me, that's how I've been thinking a lot about like consumerism, and like having things set up where it's more about buying and less about like meaningful interaction with other people. So that's just the last thought. That's just something that had been on my mind, and one of the reasons that I'm doing this, besides helping myself, obviously. So yeah, so to end on that wonderful positive note, that is my depth year of 2019. So I just wanted to share. I've enjoyed watching everybody else's videos, and I know that there's more that I still want to watch. And I wish everybody a happy depth year. Happy 2019. All right. Bye.